Hello, Lee Summit families. This is Lee Summit School District Parents as Teachers, and we are two members of the Conscious Discipline team. I am Jessica Herman.
And I'm Jessica Jackson.
And we are just going to give you a quick recap of this past year and all of the things that we presented to you families. So we're going to go through those 7 powers of conscious adults. Let me go ahead and present my screen for you, and we'll go through this little slideshow. Here we go. All right, so what is conscious discipline? Conscious discipline is a lot of things, but it is all based on brain research. That's one of my favorite things about it. So the first picture we have there is a picture of our brain and those 3 states that we talk about a lot in conscious discipline. The second picture are some I love you rituals, so different ways to connect with your children or your kiddos. The next picture is a picture of feelings. So this is all based on self-regulation and how we feel and how to appropriately deal with those feelings. And then one appropriate way of dealing with feelings is to take big, deep breaths. So that last picture down at the bottom are 4 healthy and appropriate ways to take big, deep breaths and to teach that to children. So let's jump right in. These are the 7 powers of a conscious adult. You actually could just Google 7 powers or powers of a conscious adult, and it would take you straight to this website, but there's a link down here at the bottom for you. A lot of these could be confused or confusing, like acceptance also is loving, and those things kind of go together. So we're just going to go through all 7 and explain the differences between each one. So the goal of using the 7 powers is to teach self-regulation first to the adult and then to the child. So managing our own thoughts, feelings, and actions before we help our kiddos figure out how to do that. So the conscious part of conscious discipline is based on consciousness and mindfulness research and consists of those 7 powers. So these powers create long-term, lasting success by guiding us to become conscious, present, attuned, and responsive to the needs of ourselves and our children. So the 7 powers provide a foundation. This facilitates our access to the integrated executive brain state, way up here at the top, where all higher order thinking occurs. From this state, we can override impulses and reactive tendencies. So power number 1 is perception. So there are 4 steps that go along with the powers of perception. Step number 1 is to notice that you are triggered. So how we perceive our child actually all depends on what's going on with ourselves first. So first thing is to notice that you are triggered or bothered by something that your kiddo or someone else may have done. Step 2 is to change your state from upset to calm. So before responding to your child. So that could be saying out loud, I am safe, I can handle this. This could be taking deep breaths or whatever route you choose to help yourself find some calm. And then step 3 would be change your perception from negative to positive. Ask yourself, what does the child, what need does the child have that's not being met? What does the child want, or what skill is the child missing? And then step 4 is to respond by teaching helpful skills. So we need all 4 of these things to master that power of perception. The goal is to see others in a positive light so we can access the higher centers of our brain, giving us the power of choice and the ability to behave and model in a healthy manner. Without this change in perception, we will model the exact same behaviors we are trying to eliminate in children. So modeling that deep breath for them, super, super important for that power. The next power is the power of unity. It states that we are all interconnected, and this is all about those I love you rituals. So when we do 4 elements of connection, that is what creates that joy juice or the dopamine in our brain. So there's a little visual there for you, or you can remember the 4 elements of connection by putting your hands right here, putting your fingers together. So we have eye contact, physical touch, presence, and play. The sign language there for play. So those are the 4 things that you need to help have a better connection between you and your child, authentic connections. So you can go to youtube.com and just search I love you rituals. You'll find Ashley's Conscious Life. She is a teacher at Great Beginnings and also a master conscious discipline instructor. So there's great examples of I love you rituals there, but you also could just make up your own. As long as you're doing those 4 elements of connection, you are doing an I love you ritual and you're fostering that connection. All right, moving right along. Power of acceptance, to accept the current moment as it is. Accepting the fact that we don't need to control our emotions. It's going to be super challenging for us as adults, I think. But we need to become aware of them, manage them, listen to them, and then learn how to express them more appropriately. So, of course, none of this is possible without accepting that things just are the way they are sometimes. And until we feel our feelings, we won't be able to allow our children to feel theirs. Once we accept those feelings, we can coach children to accept and manage their own feelings in a healthy way.
Yeah, and Jessica, I was just going to say about that. We don't need to control our emotions, and we can't control the emotions of our little ones either. So it is just really accepting the moment as it is, accepting the emotions that they are showing, and reminding ourselves that we can't control their emotions.
Absolutely. All right, next power that kind of goes along with acceptance is the power of free will. So the only person you can change is you. Learning to connect and guide your child through their feelings and behaviors instead of using force and coercion. So when we tell kids that they're making us behave a certain way, we place them in charge of us. So saying like, you're going to make me pull this car over or something along those lines says that they're in control of the situation. So children can respond to this power in one of two ways. Some kids immediately attempt to regain our love and approval, but they learn that their power comes from pleasing others, not from making their own choices. So no matter what tactics we try to make children behave, the willingness to change is their choice. So that's also part of the acceptance. But free will stimulates the development of that prefrontal lobe. So teaching children to choose wisely and govern themselves, which is what we want to do, teach them to do, problem solve. So only offer choices when your child is in their optimal brain state. So if they're expressing free will that they don't want to do something, if they're in their panic state, it's not a good time to offer them choices.
Yep, and I'm just going to really encourage parents to go back and to watch that conscious discipline power on our YouTube video, because we do talk a lot about the power of choice and how giving choices to little ones, even when they're very, very young, helps them to be able to kind of develop that problem solving skill. So definitely go back and check out that video.
Perfect. Okay. Power of love next. We put on our heart-shaped goggles for this, choosing to see the best in others. So this also keeps us in the higher centers of our brain so we can consciously respond instead of unconsciously reacting to life's events. So love can be a nonverbal message to tell our children, I will love you no matter how you act. So even through a fit, even through whatever action or behavior that you're seeing, that is a message that we can send to them by being loving and accepting. So in addition, showing children compassion and acceptance only when they behave sends the message, when you do what I want, you earn my love. This links love with approval and leads to people-pleasing behaviors rather than intrinsically or internally motivated choices and behaviors. So children then can act appropriately, not because they love others, but because they fear others won't love them. So it's definitely not something that we want to instill. We want to be loving and accepting of their behaviors, no matter how they are reacting. All right, next, power of attention. What we focus on, we get more of. So the goal here is to create images of expected behaviors in a child's brain. We want to tell them do rules instead of do not rules. So for example, create and explain those do rules, like always hold my hand when we cross the street, instead of do not rules, like don't run in the street. Repetition is key. So say those do rules over and over and over again, or make them into a song so that it's easier for your child to remember. And then we're going to kind of combine a little bit here with attention and love and talk about noticing. So it's estimated that we have about 70,000 thoughts per day, and 80% of those are negative. So before we can help our children, we must start by becoming conscious and mindful of our own negative thoughts and twist those around just a little bit. So when we notice without judging, not all actions need to be labeled as good or bad. Be your child's narrator as they play and help build their vocabulary. So, and then praise specifically. So rather than saying good job all day long, we want to be very specific, like you did that all by yourself, or wow, your room looks clean, or that was hard, but you kept on trying. Just be really more specific and more mindful about what we were saying and how we're telling them that they've done it right or done a good job or something like that. All right, so here's a cute, helpful little chart to kind of assist you in how to respond back to your child. This will be available on the slideshow, but instead of saying, do you need help? Let them know, I'm here to help if you need me. Instead of saying, stop crying, tell them it's okay to cry. Instead of saying, you're okay, you can ask, how are you feeling? Instead of saying, it's not that hard, you can tell them you can do hard things, but here are just some examples for you. And then last but not least, power of intention.
Okay, so the power of intention is the last power for the adult. And the thing that we want to really focus on is your response, the adult's response when the kid does an undesirable behavior. Okay, so that means taking a pause and just kind of reflecting about what is your intent when you approach your child or whatever classroom child you're working with, or what is the intent when you see them doing an undesirable behavior, making an undesirable choice. And so that's going to be a lot of adult reflection. So when I go to talk to my kid, am I intending to punish them? Am I trying to make them feel bad or shame or feel guilty for them making that choice or making that behavior? That's unhelpful because it's going to keep them from being motivated to try something new. If they feel like, okay, I'm going to make this choice and I was shamed, or, I feel guilty for it. But we also want to be conscious of, are we trying to save? So is my intention to save them from an undesirable choice? So that is trying to save them from their feelings. Oh, it's okay, don't be upset, and kind of not giving them permission to feel the feelings that they're feeling, which is something that just you spoke about in a couple in powers back. They have feelings, they have emotions, and we don't want to rescue them from those emotions, even if they're really hard, even if they're really challenging. It is what they're feeling. And so we have to show them that, yes, feelings are hard, but you're capable of handling hard feelings. So really the frame of mind when your child is making an undesirable choice is to reflect as the adult that this is my opportunity to teach. My intent is to teach. We're going to reflect on the choice that they made, and we're going to talk about consequences. But we're going to remind ourselves that they are just little ones and this is a teachable moment, and who they're taught from is us as the adult. We're going to model for them how to stay calm, how to have a resolution to this upset that they're feeling. And so it's really a lot about the adult's frontal brain, right? Their problem-solving skills. You have to be in that. You cannot expect your child to be in a higher brain state than you are. So you have to take breaths. You have to remain in your higher brain state, and you have to remind yourself that this is a teachable moment. That will help them take personal responsibility. So that is the power of intention.
Perfect. All right. Well, that is everything that we have for you guys tonight. All 7 powers. Please remember to follow our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and definitely take a look at the Conscious Discipline website. There are tons of free resources, webinars, podcasts, videos, free printable activities, and all kinds of good stuff on the website. So please check those things out. And we can't wait to get back to school next year and give you some more presentations.
Yep. And if you have any questions, just reach out to your parent educator who would be more than happy to help you. All right. Thanks. Bye.